Salut, listener! No, actually, it's Grüß Gott! Bayern are European champions. But who are the heroes and who are the villains of yesterday's night in Lisbon? What does the future hold for both teams? This and much more in today's episode of the Euro Football Verdicts. Servus, Jungs! And welcome to the Euro Football Verdicts podcast. Yes, today we start in German and the Bavarian dialect because of their win yesterday against Paris Saint-Germain. Guys, what a match. How are you, Marco?
Alles gut, Alex.
Very, very well. Amazing German. What about you, Steph?
All good too. Thanks, Alex, even though my German is not as good, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely some room for improvement. Maybe someone who didn't have some room for improvement or very limited one is Bayern Munich. They lifted their sixth Champions League, fully deserved. I think that everyone agrees with this one. They won all games in the Champions League. It was just astonishing their path to come here. Marco, what are your impressions from yesterday's game?
My bullets. I think it was one of the least convincing performance for Bayern Munich from what I've seen this season. I believe they were very solid. Like they did their game, they did what they planned for. However, when I think about the best action of the game, I can only think about PSG action. Is it a limit of Bayern? Probably. Is it also a showcase of the cynism they have, the level of cynicism they have reached and the level of experience they have in this kind of competition where basically they had two good actions and they got a post and a goal?
And it was probably just down to the fact that Icardi wasn't on the field. Is it right, Steph?
Of course it was about that. I mean, I may be a little biased on this because, you know, I talked about this last time and I'm a huge Icardi fanboy anyway. But seeing Choupo-Moting in that moment of the match, wasting such an opportunity really was frustrating to me. Because even though I maybe was supporting Bayern, still I wanted the match to go on and maybe to go even to the penalties. And maybe, just maybe, we would have seen a different scene had Icardi been let in on pitch.
Okay, very interesting insight on that one. For me, to be honest, I think it was a deserved win. Obviously, Bayern has performed tremendously all over the competition since the start. And yesterday was, I think, despite being a very consistent performance, the first half, you could actually see that problems, but they fixed it, I think, at halftime, and that has Flick all over it.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Alex. We did see how the lack of certain players has affected PSG throughout this Champions League Mundialito. We did see the lack of Di Maria and Verratti really hurting them. Then again, in this final and also semi-final, really, Di Maria was the big game changer. It really allowed the strikers to become creative, to do their own things, but at the same time, he was a threat in the attack. I mean, two of the best action of PSG were in Di Maria foot, and one was horribly missed, let's be honest. The one when, on the right, he was all by himself in front of the goalie, non-pressure, then he just threw it. It sounds weird that, in my opinion, until now, no one ever managed to understand how good he was. That's just my gut feeling. In Real Madrid, they weren't too sad to let him go, quote unquote, and he was still playing on the wing. He started transitioning towards the midfield more at United, becoming like all time in the midfield. You had already the move, but that's where he hardly was playing as much as before in the wing. But then again, he was good, but he wasn't carrying the team like this. Like, he was really the game changer. We did see a different PSG with him in the field.
I mean, he wasn't the Mbappe as usual, but I think he still kept a solid level, throughout the match. I was more amazed by the performance, how well it started for Neymar, and then how it turned sour in the second half. You could see after Bayern's goal, Neymar worried me more than Mbappe. Mbappe, every now and then, he always got some kind of a dribble, of creativity that could have worked in a goal. while Neymar, he started losing his mind after a while. He still did an amazing assist to Mbappe, don't get me wrong there, but I was not that worried about Mbappe. Neymar worried me more, and it felt like he wasn't contributing as much to the team in the last 20 minutes as Mbappe.
I really must back you up on this, Alex. Fully agree with you. I would say a humble performance by Mbappe, realizing that he couldn't just go all by himself and dribble the Bayern defense. They're not players that you can just do defensive stuff, do the Neymar stuff. Neymar managed in the first half, very good couple of passes, of dribbles, very good counter-attack as well when Neuer had to save twice on him because there was Di Maria all by himself in the middle of the box. But then again, after the goal, you also did see what's the big limit of Neymar. His mental concentration and his stability. He was never able to get to the level of the Messi and Ronaldo, not because he doesn't have the quality, but I think because he doesn't have the consistency of always being focused 100% and giving his best performance all time. And this final had shown that.
Well, I mean, we did see some good dribbling and sprint and action by Mbappe. But, you know, playing as the center forward, you are supposed to be, even if you are like the falso nueve style center forward, still you are supposed to be very lucid in front of the goalkeeper. And while it has to be said that Manuel Neuer played an incredible match yesterday, like you couldn't even believe it sometimes. Still, I feel like Mbappe definitely lost a couple of opportunities to equalize the match.
I fully agree, and I have to back you on that point on Neuer. He made himself look big. The goal looked small. He put his hands, and with his feet, he covered any possible downside of his positioning. It was just textbook perfect the way he went on the one-on-ones versus Di Maria, versus Mbappe and others. It was an amazing performance. And for me, to be honest, I know we all go, amazing goal by King Coman and all the branding, and he deserved man of the match. But for me, man of the match, Manuel Neuer. He really had, whenever he had to do something, it was always very difficult situations, and he solved it brilliantly. I agree that Mbappe did not manage to finish on some occasions that he should have, but let's be honest, Neuer, every time he had a one-on-one, he went out perfectly. We're talking textbook.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's back to the Neuer being the best goalie. And I recall after the injury that he had, many people were questioning him being again the best one out there. But I think this game just showed that he's still at the top level. Just took some time, of course, after such a bad injury to get back to shape and really prove that. But like the feet, that's what you mentioned correctly. It's not just how good he is in the goal, how good he is in one-on-ones, but how quickly he can go down with his legs on the ground. That's absurd for his height. Like I can't recall any other goalie being that quick going down. Even Courtois, who by many is pointed as the best goalie in the goal, really. He's not that quick. Like going down, it's not that easy.
No, definitely. And I want to ask Steph a question about a former Milan player, Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva is now 36 years old. Amazing player, had an amazing career. But if we look at the goal in itself, his positioning is well off. There's a perfect line in the defense, and the only one missing is Thiago Silva, who's joined Marquinhos on the pressure, on the semi-pressure on Kimmich, and he left Kehrer alone with two guys between Lewandowski and Coman. Kehrer had to make a decision and went for Lewandowski, leaving Coman alone. Perfect cross by Kimmich, no words. He had an amazing performance, Thiago Silva, but is he past his best now?
I'm afraid he might be past his best. Yeah, I mean, still his Champions League was amazing. He was always so confident and secure. But you're right in blaming him a little for yesterday's goal by Coman, because I think he was off position too. And at his age, of course, we start questioning whether he's off his prime or not anymore. Speaking about Thiago Silva, by the way, it's just I think 30 minutes ago that. I read that he may be heading towards Chelsea. Yeah, not official, but almost official. And 10 million a year indeed, which is more than what he's earning at PSG, I think, right? And in the past few days, we were discussing Thiago Silva, is he going to Fiorentina, or maybe the romantic comeback to AC Milan? But if this amount of money will be confirmed, then there's no competition at all. He would most definitely go to Chelsea.
I think it's quite interesting what you just pointed out. Is he at his prime or not? And I think it depends what you look at. If you look at his capability of leading the defense, I think has never been this good. The experience that comes with age really helps you to become a coach in the field, like leading everyone and moving everyone. And I have seen also yesterday in the final many times him talking with Kerr, for instance, or with the rest of the defense and giving direction by himself directly without the coach needing to take action. However, of course, he doesn't have the speed, and I guess any mismovement he's doing at this age is costing me 10 times more than it was costing before. Before he was quite quick. He was very good in, being fast-paced, but at the same time being very intelligent in the positioning. Now he has to fully rely on the latter. And we have seen this with many players, even if we look at the Juve defense, for instance, with the Barzagli, Chiellini, who was the backbone of Juventus. Now, basically, none of the two is playing in the starting 11 no more. Why? Simply because you get a point when you're too slow, and no matter how intelligent you are, you can't cope with this difference. So it depends what you're looking. I think that Chelsea is looking for a player that leads the defense. They don't have such a player right now. They need someone very strong mentally. They have young defenders that need to grow, and I think Thiago Silva will have that role in the team. So I think it's a great buying for Chelsea for free, really. And at the same time, it's quite true that he's not at his prime no more.
At least someone in Paris is getting its future decided. I wonder what will happen with Tuchel. There was some rumors that he might leave. Now they've come and corrected those rumors. What is this PSG team missing to win the Champions League? They put a lot of investment. What are they missing, Steph?
Well, to be honest, I don't think they're missing anything. I was thinking that until this year, but this year, after so many solid performances, they eventually reached the final. And we all know that finals are a lottery. There's no way for sure that you're going to win it. I think this should be the starting point for PSG to prepare the next season and also the next ones. And I personally do not think that Tuchel should leave. Of course, I understand the disappointment in getting so near to the cup and losing in the finals. But if you can cope with such negative emotion, then you can try to fight it and be ready for next year to try to win again the Champions League.
I must disagree on the fact that they don't miss anything. I think they really do lack depth in the midfield. The Atalanta game, if it wasn't Atalanta against them, if it was Real Madrid, if it was even Barcelona, despite how destroyed they got by Bayern, I think they would have lost that game 100% with anyone else. They have good players, but I think like Choupo-Moting up front, I don't get it. Like his contract is running out. How can you play him in a Champions League final? And also the rest of the players, like it's not only that they have sold some, like Rabiot, but I don't think Rabiot was making a difference in the midfield. I still think they really miss a couple of good additions to be top level. They're closing the gap for sure, but I don't think they're there yet.
Now the question is if they're very top heavy. They invested a lot in Neymar, Mbappe, giving them an amazing offense, but now I'm questioning, do they have the bench to support the midfield? We've seen players like Verratti who are amazing, but who's the backup? When we're looking at Paredes, who was at Zenit, he's a good player, but I mean, he's not going to play as a starter for a team of PSG's level. It's a bit weird for me to see those kind of players starting in Champions League. Gaye, who for me is a great player, but he basically came from Everton to PSG. Another one. You had Marquinhos filling in the gaps in the midfield. Now he's going to go back to the central defense because of Thiago Silva's departure. But there are a lot of questions, I agree with Marco, to be asked of that midfield.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I will not go as far as to say that it is this that made the difference, but maybe it is also about substitutes because considering Bayern Munich yesterday, they let in Coutinho from the bench, Pavard, even Süle in the defense after Boateng's injury. I mean, those are so strong substitutes. Then I think that in the vast majority of teams, they would never start from the bench. They would always start on the pitch from minute one. And maybe PSG just needs a little bit of backup. It could be about that. But once again, if you have such a strong four attacker as Icardi on the bench and you do not get him in, then of course you can't also regret that too much, I say.
And what does the future hold for Bayern? I mean, there are a couple questions to be asked on what will happen, for instance, for King Coman, the hero of yesterday. It's basically getting replaced because Sané is coming in from Man City. He's coming in with a big price tag. He preferably plays on the left-hand side. So questions about that one. On center back, Boateng, he's likely to leave. So is Alaba. What are your takes on that one, Marco?
I think what Bayern showed in the past couple of years, that they were very good at replacing players. Personally, I love Sané. I think if Sané can get some continuity, he was unlucky with the injuries over the past couple of years, but he could definitely be a top player, like really, really top, like the Ribéry level top. And I think on the left is perfect. They decided not to confirm Perisic, which nonetheless has a very good season, investing in Sané. Younger German player, so I think that makes sense in the big scheme of things. Coman, I don't believe he has the quality really to be a starting in a starting 11 for a team aiming for Champions League, and I don't think he really struggles with that. He was always quite okay in being the first substitute for these kind of big teams and really making the best out of it. He's an impact sub and doing that his job very well. I think he's gonna stay in that position. We'll see in a couple of years whether he decides to move. But we have many players that have just quote unquote accepted this role and really make it their own. I mean, if I think at the Shaqiri, if I think at the Schürrle, these are players that started by being very good and when young being pointed at as the new star of their national team. However, over time, they just accepted that either they can be a top star in a medium team or being the first substitute in a top team. And I guess these days it's better to be the latter. You win trophies, you still play your good chance of Champions League, so that's quite nice.
What about you, Steph? What do you think about their central defense? I mean, we're going to see maybe Alaba departing. Do you think that Bayern's most expensive transfer ever, Hernandez, sitting on the bench, is going to be able to fill in the boots? And also, is Süle a sufficient replacement for Boateng, maybe even Pavard coming in from the right to the center?
Well, I'm not too sure about that, honestly. Like, first of all, it would be very sad to see Alaba leaving because he's had such great years at Bayern Munich. Been like before, he used to play on the wing, preferably, and in the center as well. Forever solid performances. Like, and it would be sad to see him leave Bayern. Speak about his possible replacements. I personally like a lot Süle's way of playing, and if it were for me, I would definitely give him a chance. But I'm not too sure about Hernandez because, as you said, it was a very expensive player to buy. But the fact that he wasn't given a chance yet, even though Bayern lost Hummels, which was the other central defender who played a lot of years for Bayern, then still I'm not sure that he's going to be given this chance that maybe he deserves.
I think there's a big lack of a leader right now in Bayern's defense. As you mentioned, Hummels was one, definitely. He was coming also from his leading experience in Dortmund when he was managing and making also not as good players, such as Subotic, for instance, becoming really good because of his presence as a partner. But then he had to be let go. He wasn't performing no more at the level that he used to. Now Boateng, same thing. Probably not the Boateng of a couple of years ago, one of the strongest defenders we've seen in Europe over the past 10 years, really. And he might leave as well. Who's gonna be the leader, Alex? That's my main point. who's gonna be that coach on the field that we mentioned before with Thiago Silva for Bayern right now?
I think there are clear leaders in that team in the making. I think Joshua Kimmich is a clear one. The guy, the new Philipp Lahm, basically. He will play every position he needs, and he is someone who really seems to have an authority on the team despite of his young age. You'll always see now Leon Goretzka, who's more of a silent leader, the Hulk basically of that midfield and the way it evolved. But I agree with you. I think there will be big challenges ahead because they're also going to lose Thiago on the midfield. That's almost certain. Similar to Alaba, 1 year before ending his contract, wants to leave. So big questions on leadership. I agree with you, Marco.
Speaking about leaders, can we actually discuss Thomas Müller's match? Because I loved him. Like, he was so strong. He was everywhere, always screaming back the ball when it was in his opponent's feet, or trying to attack, to set the action. And he did feel like the leader of the team at some times, perhaps even more than Lewandowski himself, I think.
I don't think Lewandowski really has this charisma to carry a team. I think he's one of those players that is more quiet. I think that Müller is that kind of strong personality, and that was also one of the reasons why, for instance, certain trainers didn't like him that much, because they felt that when they weren't playing him, there was a fuss rather than buzz. It was a fuss in the dressing room. He wasn't well perceived because he's a strong personality in that group, and when he's not playing, of course, he's probably also being quite vocal. I can assume. So definitely agree with your points there.
It's very interesting what the future holds for both PSG and Bayern, and also for the remaining of the European teams ahead of next year's Champions League. I want to thank everyone for listening to our podcast for today. Thank you so much, Steph.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you all guys for listening to us.
And thank you, Marco, for being able to be here today and give us your insights.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys, and remember to follow us on Euro Football Verdicts on Instagram, and write us if you have any questions on eurofootballverdicts@gmail.com. Cheers, guys. Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.